Marcus got a raise last year, $12,000 more, before taxes. He told me about it over coffee, and I asked him the only question that matters: where did it go? He thought about it for a long time, and then he laughed, because he genuinely couldn't answer. Elena got the same raise, same year, same company, different department. I asked her the same question. She shrugged and said, "I don't know. I never saw it." That sentence is the entire video. One of them got richer by not noticing his own money. The other one got poorer by noticing every dollar of it. And the strange part is, the one who paid attention lost. Here's the setup, and it explains almost everything about why smart, hardworking people stay broke while their income climbs every single year. Marcus and Elena start at the same salary. Both get raises at roughly the same pace for the next 15 years. Both feel, on paper, successful. Only one of them ends up with money. Let me show you why. There's a term behavioral economists use called lifestyle inflation, and the research behind it is almost insulting. As income rises, spending tends to rise right alongside it, often at close to the same rate. People don't usually blow a raise on something dramatic. They upgrade quietly, a slightly nicer apartment, a newer car, with a slightly higher payment, more takeout because they're busy and they've earned it. None of these decisions feel reckless in the moment. Each one is completely reasonable on its own. The problem is there are dozens of them, and they compound just as relentlessly as any investment does, except in the wrong direction. This is why so many high earners report living paycheck to paycheck. Multiple national surveys over the past few years have found that a majority of Americans, including a large share of people earning well over $100,000 a year, say they're living paycheck to paycheck. Not because they don't make money, because the money never gets a chance to sit still long enough to become wealth. Income went up, net worth didn't move. There's an author pairing, Stanley and Danko, who spent years studying actual millionaires in America, and what they found broke the stereotype completely. Most of the millionaires they studied didn't look rich. They drove modest cars, lived in unremarkable houses, and often earned less than the doctors and lawyers who worked for them and were flat broke. The wealthy ones weren't the highest earners in the room. They were the ones whose spending never caught up to their income, no matter how many raises came in. Wealth, it turns out, has almost nothing to do with how much you make, and almost everything to do with the gap you protect between what you make and what you spend. So how do you actually protect that gap without relying on willpower? Because, let's be honest, willpower is a terrible long-term financial strategy. This is where the second half of the story gets interesting, and where Elena's advantage stops being an accident. There's a program built by two researchers, Richard Thaler and Shlomo Benartzi, called Save More Tomorrow. The idea was almost embarrassingly simple. Instead of asking people to cut their spending today, which nobody wants to do, they asked people to agree in advance to save a larger slice of their next raise before they ever saw it hit their account. Not today's paycheck. Future raises only. People said yes constantly, because giving up money you don't have yet feels painless. In the companies that adopted this, average savings rates climbed dramatically over a few years, in some cases nearly quadrupling, without a single person feeling like they'd sacrificed anything, because they genuinely never saw the money to miss it. That is exactly what happened to Elena, whether she knew the research or not. Years ago, she set her contribution rate to automatically increase by 1% every time she got a raise. She didn't renegotiate it, didn't revisit it, didn't have a single conversation with herself about whether she could afford it. The raise arrived and split itself before it ever touched her checking account. Her lifestyle stayed roughly the same. Her invested money quietly grew every single year, riding on top of raises she barely remembers receiving. Marcus, meanwhile, kept his contribution rate fixed at whatever he'd originally set it to years ago, and let every raise land fully in his checking account, where it behaved exactly like new checking account money always behaves. It got absorbed. Behavioral researchers have a name for this too: mental accounting. Money that arrives labeled as a raise or a bonus gets treated psychologically as more spendable than money that was already there, even though a dollar is a dollar. Marcus wasn't undisciplined. He was reacting exactly the way most human brains react to a windfall. He just never installed anything that would divert it before his brain got the chance. The math on the gap between them is not subtle. If Elena is redirecting even a modest slice of every raise into an investment account for 15 to 20 years, on top of normal market growth, she isn't just saving faster, she's compounding on an ever-growing base while her actual take-home lifestyle barely changes. Marcus, with the identical raises and the identical starting salary, can end up with a fraction of her invested total, despite having earned on paper the exact same amount of money across those years. Same income, wildly different outcomes. The only variable was where the extra money was told to go before either of them had a chance to feel it. Now, the honest part, because I'm not going to pretend this works for everyone in every situation. If a raise is the first real breathing room you've had after years of just covering rent and bills, redirecting all of it into an investment account isn't discipline. It's cruelty to yourself, and you should absolutely enjoy some of it. This strategy is for the layer above survival, the part of a raise that would otherwise just quietly disappear into upgrades you wouldn't even remember making. And there's a second honesty too. This doesn't feel dramatic while you're doing it. There's no exciting moment. It's a checkbox in an HR portal that you set once and then largely forget existed, which is exactly why almost nobody does it, and exactly why the people who do tend to end up in a completely different financial place a decade later, for reasons that look, from the outside, suspiciously like luck. It isn't luck. Marcus will get another raise this year. He'll feel like he deserves a small upgrade because he does, and he'll take it. Because that's what raises are for in his mind. Elena will get a similar raise. She won't feel anything at all, because a piece of it will already be gone before her next paycheck even lands, quietly building toward a number she isn't thinking about yet. In 10 years, one of them will be surprised by how much they have. The other will be surprised by how much they don't. Neither of them worked harder than the other. One of them just decided once to stop deciding every single time.